Look, you are so high on Islam, and I understand why. Look,
Yeah,
I understand.
yeah.
He's a dynamite fighter. But when you're looking at this and you're being logical, you're going off of the fact that you used to work out with him. Okay? And hey, that says a lot because you have an insight there that is special. It's hands-on. You know how good he is in specific positions. You know how tough he is as far as taking you down and being on top of you and all that stuff. Really comes down to this. He's not Khabib. And I've talked to you about this before. Nope. Okay?
Nope.
And the one thing that he's really not Khabib in is up here. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference when it comes to this. See, because all the things that have happened and all the things that, they want to talk about and all the things of, he's been set up for this and all that stuff. Hey, he's a great fighter. But this is the first truly great fighter he's taking on. The first truly great. Because you can take a look at the list and you can go, okay, his last fight is your famous Bobby Green fight. Okay, he took a guy that came in last minute. All right, he got the win. Yeah. Dan Hooker. I think just a couple podcasts ago you were talking about Dan Hooker hasn't won a fight in so long. Again. Yeah. Okay. So then before that, Thiago Moises, right? Good fighter. Where's he ranked in the top? Where's he ranked?
Yeah.
Where's he ranked in the UFC rankings? Yeah, somewhere maybe 14,
somewhere
13,
towards the end.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, towards the end, I think.
And this is what I'm talking about, Josh. You can go all the way down the list. The one before that I thought was a great fight, Drew Dober. I really like Drew Dober. I think Drew Dober is a really good fighter. But again, where's Drew Dober ranked?
Yeah, he's not in there. I got
and
you.
This is my
I get
point.
Everything you're saying.
So
I'm absorbing all this.
There's no
Saryukian,
one.
Same thing. Saryukian, same thing.
Well, Saryukian's a good fighter, and that's a good competition for Islam. Wrestling wise, there was a matchup, and you saw that his wrestling overcame Saryukian's, and so you can see that Dagestani style of grappling that he has. Mm-hmm. But there's a difference when you get to the top echelon. There's a difference in the beast, and there's a difference and it all comes down to something you talk about all the time. It's that confidence, and right now Islam has confidence. I'm not saying he doesn't, and he should. But when things don't go his way, we're going to see exactly who Islam Makhachev is, because not everything's going to go his way in this fight. And Charles is a different beast. All the bullshit, and I know it came out, Khabib's talking about, you're not a good grappler. You've tapped out 8 times in the UFC or anything like that. Okay, nice statement. Bullshit. Just bullshit. Okay? Is he a good grappler, Josh?
Yeah, he is a good grappler.
All right. And this is my point. He's a different fighter. He's a different fighter at the age of 30 than he was as a young man coming up in the UFC in his 20s. He's different.
Go ahead.
His mindset's different. He's got a different attitude. He actually has a different skill set, and he is going to be a motherfucker on Saturday night.
Okay, but it's not fair to compare that Charles Oliveira is a different fighter when he was younger than he is now. But then in the earlier, when you were stating, is that Islam is not he's not confident, and he is confident now. He's got confidence coming along.
He wasn't confident.
But his mindset is not of like Khabib's. Look, a lot has happened since his one loss.
True,
but we don't know that yet. Look. Things can change. You just proved to me, you said, because Oliveira's changed, that things can change. Islam could be the most confident son of a bitch in that damn cage on Saturday night. You won't know.
I think he's going to be confident. I think he's going to be confident.
His mindset could be just as
He's going to be a confident guy. But the difference being is, again, he has not, and this is and I'm not taking anything away from who he is as a fighter. He's phenomenal. But truthfully, and you said a lot of guys have ducked him. Okay, I'll say that's true.
Tons of guys.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I agree with you. I'm not, like I said, I'm saying that's true. But the problem is he hasn't experienced that top 3 level guy, that top 5 level guy. He doesn't have one of them on his record. Not one. And that's the difference.
Is that his fault? Is that his fault?
Not at all. Not saying it is. Not saying
I want to make sure that's clear. He's called out Tony. He's called out Chandler. Oh, yeah. He's called out RDA when they were all ranked in the top 5, top 3, and they all said fuck no. They all said hell no. They all sidestepped the issue. They all went around. Then when he got ranked high, they're like, hey, they can't keep his name out of their mouth.
Yeah.
That's just the way. I know this is the fight game. That's the way it goes.
That is.
But I'm just being honest. Look, people are trying to avoid him. And I think a lot of people are also afraid because he does have that Khabib effect of like, hey, he comes from Khabib's camp. They're close. He has that style of which people understand. It's going to be one of those fight for my life type styles. I'm going to have to struggle to get up off the bottom. I'll have to struggle over every takedown defense. You know, on the feet, he doesn't get enough credit. He doesn't get enough credit on the feet because he has one loss by knockout from however long ago. Like, Charles got 8 losses. Like, I'm just being honest. Charles got 8 losses. How is one guy who has 1 loss versus the guy who has 8 losses? We want to start comparing losses. This guy's gave up several times. Now, I agree with you. He can be a different fighter at 55 because he had cut so much weight. I think that made him mentally weak. You and I can agree. I think we can agree on that. Am I right?
I agree with you.
I am a huge
personality.
I am a huge fan of Charles Oliveira. So let's get that out of the way right off the bat. I'm a fan of his grappling. I'm a fan of the way he strikes and his stand-up. I'm a fan of the way he takes the center of the ring or the cage and dominates and commands respect. I love how now at 55, he will stand and bang with you and trade with you. I like that. He threatens people. He's going, hey, if I get dropped, come on into my guard. Guys don't do that though. Okay. Chandler jumped in for a split seconds and then jumped right out or almost got submitted. That's going to be the difference in this fight. Now, do I think that Islam's going to drop him? I can't tell you that. I don't know. Do I think he has a chance on the feet? I absolutely do think he has a chance on the feet. His southpaw style of stand-up will give Charles a little bit of a problem. The way he strikes will give him a little bit of a problem. Size-wise, Islam is going to be the bigger fighter. Maybe not. They'll probably be equally as height. But I think that size-wise, when they get into that cage, that Islam will be the bigger fighter. He will be the stronger fighter. His dominant position. Now, I agree with you. He is not as good a wrestler as Khabib was, but it's a different style. And I've said this for I don't know how many years. He will very rarely shoot a double leg, especially against Charles because the guillotine, because of maybe potentially missing the takedown and giving up the back. All of those things, I don't expect him to really shoot for the single leg or the double leg. If he does shoot for the single, it'll be the single to the body lock. He will work his way up quickly, head on the inside, press Charles to the fence, foot sweep, elevate, takedown, whatever it is. But he will end up in some sort of half guard position. He will try to avoid being put in full guard at full cost. There will be no positioning where he will try to end up where he gets the takedown, where he tries to end up in guard. He's got to be very careful, though, because we saw, I think it was with Drew Dober. Was it Drew Dober with the guillotine? I think I had said Sarukian a long time ago. I think in Drew Dober almost caught him in a guillotine, and Islam had to roll out, kind of get to the top position. I believe it was Drew Dober. Very tight on the guillotine. That type of guillotine and that chance, I think there's a good chance that Charles finishes that. There's probably a really good chance. I think there's a lot has happened, though, in the quality of the guys that he's had to fight since then. And I'm not saying they're all world beaters. He just can't seem to fight those guys because the top 5, top 7, they didn't want to fight him. And the ones that did, he did what he was supposed to do. He got rid of them. I'm getting sick of reading about the fact that people think that he's a boring fighter. He's a dominant fighter.
No. Anybody that says he's boring,
fighter.
Yes. He's a dominant fighter, and he's a fantastic fighter. My whole thing with this is people saying, especially, and look, it's gamesmanship. I totally understand. But when his camp is coming out saying it's going to be 1 round, you look and you go,
Charles's.
No.
Charles camp or Islam camp?
Both of them.
Oh.
Both of them now.
No.
Both of them now.
I don't think so.
And you look and you go, get real. This is the toughest fight of his career. By far.
I want to remind you of this, though. Just because Khabib is retired, he still does train all the time. Okay. They've also had Abu Bakr in there, who's a 175 pounder who can wrestle and do well. You've also got, Zuba, who's in there, who's a 145 pounder, who's extremely fast, good wrestling, good sambo, good throws, all those things. That's been one of his main training partners for this fight as well. There's other guys that they have brought in that are all there. Now, he's also, I want to remind that we're talking about the length of when you travel. Charles came in a couple days ago, and all I've seen from Charles on social media is walking lions, playing with tigers, hanging out, sightseeing, which is fine. I understand. Islam's been there since June. He hasn't left. His whole camp has been there. He has not been straight away. The dinners, he's training, back to the hotel. I think there could be a level of distraction in this fight. And I know this happens all the time. Fighters get somewhere, they go and they sightsee, they do this. I think as the champion, as we all know, when you're the champion, there's a lot more responsibility on you.
Hold on, he's not champion. You already told me he wasn't champion.
You understand what I'm saying. Okay.
Yes,
he's not the champion. We know that. But you understand what I'm saying. As someone who is considered to be the champion, okay? And I said this last show. I said, look, or not the show, but the show before. Is that the champ has a name. It's Charles Oliveira. If you want to say he's the champ, I can get behind that. He deserves, he's respected enough. He's done enough. I think he deserves to be called the champion. But when they both step in there, no one's the champion. It's a vacant title, and that they're both fighting for. That's what's going on. Islam has not strayed away from any of that. These type of things, it comes down to that one little bit of focus. Are you focused? Are you more distracted with looking the part, socializing? The UFC's probably got him running around, meeting a ton of sheiks, hanging out, having dinners, or not dinners, but meeting and greeting and doing stuff to help set up their future in Dubai or Yaz Island or wherever else they want to try to go to in Saudi Arabia. They have Charles out there meeting everybody they possibly can to try to make sure that their future endeavors work out. Yeah, that's the nature of being the guy that is considered to be the champ.
Absolutely it is. But let's be honest, okay? You're a smart guy, and you know how to handle these things.
Say that again, John, one more time.
You're a smart guy. You know how to handle these things, and you have people around you that say, we will allow Charles to be free from this time to this time.
Yeah.
And that's when he does those things. And from that, and I don't care how many pictures are taken of him in those time periods, that doesn't mean that he's not focused on what he's doing and why he's there. And look, you got to be honest about this. This is a hometown fight for one guy. Let's be real. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is Islam Makhachev's hometown. All right. His brother there basically owns that place with the people that are behind him. Am I saying something that's not true?
You're saying exactly the truth.
Okay.
No one has been as dominant in terms of relationship building there in that area as Khabib.
There's only one guy that's even close, and that's Renzo Gracie.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just be honest.
And they're good friends, by the way.
Exactly. And
they're good friends.
You look and you go, hey, I understand this fight, no matter what anyone wants to say, it's a 50-50. And that's what's so good about it. It is that Islam could walk away as the new lightweight champion of the world for the UFC. But it's just as possible that Charles walks away now as the two-time lightweight champion, getting the belt back from it being stripped and stuff. This is a matchup, and the real difference, and I've heard so many people talking about, Charles has quit before. I don't give a fuck what you did before. Once you have the mindset, I will not stop. I will not give in. I will not, be in a position where I have to quit. No, it's all mindset, Josh. And you know what? You can have that mindset or you don't have it. And at one point, I don't think he had it, but he does now. And he's proved it in his last couple of fights.
See, John, look, I agree, but look, I agree with this. He didn't have it before. And maybe it is something you can get, which, look, over time, I get it, you can get it. I don't know, though, John. He hasn't been, sure, he's been dropped by every fighter he's fought in Chandler, in Justin, and Dustin. He's been dropped by all three of them.
That's right.
And he's got up off the canvas. But I said, the reason why he was able to get up off the canvas is none of them just jumped into his guard because he's so dangerous.
And that is just not true because Michael Chandler did. This is a fallacy that I've heard Chael Sonnen saying and everyone saying. You go and look at the end of that fucking first round when Michael Chandler hurts Charles Oliveira and Oliveira goes down. And if you're telling me that Michael Chandler did not jump on top of him and start going after him, then I watched a different fight. Mm-hmm. Did he not? Did he not end up in his guard?
He jumped in. What happened at the end of that round?
Ground and pounding at the end of the round. Now, at the beginning of the round, he was in trouble with Charles. But at the end of the round, he jumped down on him. So that's bullshit that, no one wants to jump down into his guard. It was done. Michael Chandler did it. Michael Chandler doesn't think that anybody can submit him. And he may,
he hasn't been submitted yet.
Exactly. And so you look and you go, hey, there's these things out there where you look at guys and you go, you've changed. How many times have you seen it in people? You go, he's a different fucking beast right now. I don't know what it is that changed him, but he has changed. Charles Oliveira changed. You could see it from his fight with Kevin Lee into Tony Ferguson and all those fights after. He has been a different animal.
Are you going to say that all these guys that he's fought are as talented or as good as Islam Makhachev? I'm gonna be honest. Like, none of those guys he fought are as good as Islam.
I'm gonna tell you that he's absolutely fought. Look at you cannot sit there and tell me right now that Islam Makhachev is a better fighter overall than Dustin Poirier. Is he as good a fighter? Yes, he's as good a fighter. Is he better?
Absolutely.
Well, I'll tell you what. Dustin Poirier will tell you about fighting Khabib. He'll tell he almost submitted Khabib too.
Mm-hmm. Different style of wrestling, like I said.
Okay,
I said that different style of wrestling.
And so you take a look, and Islam is where he belongs. He is up in the top 5 of the lightweights. He's phenomenal. But to sit there and say that he has fought as good a competition as Charles Oliveira, you're lying.
Oh, no. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. That's not what I said. I said I was asking you, do you think that Islam Makhachev is not better than Dustin?
I already said
Tony.
These guys are fighting each other. These are the two best guys, and it's going to show, but neither guy is going to walk away from the other one.
I look at the way that this fight will have to go down. If I looked at how Islam beats Dustin, if I look at how Islam beats Justin, if I look at how Islam beats Tony Ferguson, I think that he presents dangers that none of those guys possess.
Okay.
None of them.
So then let me ask you this.
None of them.
Let me ask you this. Stand up. Who's got better stand up?
Then who? Each other? These two?
Yes, these two.
I would say I would give maybe Charles a little bit of the nod.
Okay. He gets the nod. Okay? Who's the better submission guy?
Islam.
Oh, you're so fucking full of shit. How can you say that Islam is the better submission guy when he doesn't even have half the fucking submission victories that guy has in the fucking UFC?
Doesn't
Come
matter.
on,
I'm
dude.
telling you right now.
Please.
I'm telling you right now, he's better.
Please.
He's better. And we're going to find out. I honestly believe he's going to submit Charles. We've seen Charles get submitted by people that aren't anywhere near as good as Islam. So I know you're saying it at 45. Look, getting caught in transition, it happens. And that's what my point is. Islam is the better grappler. People are underestimating the fact.
Islam is the better wrestler.
He is a better.
He is not the better submission specialist.
Stylistically, whatever position it is, he will dominate that position. That's my point. Is that he will dominate whether it's the top, whether he gets to the back, whether it's side control, whether it's half guard. He will dominate those positions. And that's the better grappler. That's not just wrestling. That's grappling.
I didn't say grappler. I said submission specialist.
I think there's a good chance. I would say if I'm going to lean towards submission, if I had to say who's going to submit who, I'm going to say that Islam's going to submit Charles.
Okay.
People are thinking, I get it. Look, I understand. Charles has what? The most submissions in the UFC, correct?
Yes.
I think he's up there. I think he's number 1, number 2.
He's number 1.
I think he's got the most. Okay, so he's number 1. I agree that I think he is, and I gave him a ton of respect and love earlier on this show. I think he's a great grappler. I don't care what Khabib says. I don't care what anybody else says. He is a great grappler. Hands down, great grappler. I just think stylistically, we have seen him get caught in transition. We've seen him get knee barred. We've seen him get other things, in submission. He's been tapped. And I think in this case, Islam Makhachev poses the threat in all of those areas. Ankle locks, he poses the threat. Knee bars poses the threat. Arm bars poses a threat. Kimuras for sure poses a threat. Our side chokes absolutely poses a threat. The submission game is there all day long.
I'm not saying he doesn't have a submission game, but for you to sit here and tell me that the guy that's not even in the top 7 of the
talking
UFC,
stats again. That doesn't make a fight.
Submissions is better than the guy that's number 1.
Talking stats doesn't make a fight. Doesn't make a fight.
It didn't say it makes a fight.
It just doesn't.
But it says something about your prior fights. It says something that, you know what?
Yeah.
One guy has proven that he's been better than every other fighter that has ever fought under that promotion. Every other one.
That's fine.
Everyone.
I understand what you're saying. He's also fought a lot more than Islam because anyone at some point in time was willing to fight him. Because he wasn't considered to be that good. That's why Islam has never not been considered to be that good. Guys were just taking the fight as a building block. No one's ever took a fight against Islam as a building block to get to the title. They just were like, I'm being forced to do this. Everyone was like, I'll fight Charles. Sure. He's a guy that I can beat. No one is lining up going, you know what? Give me Islam because I want that. That's an easy fight for me. No one. So when you're talking about those type of stats, I can't line up submissions when people don't want to fight you.
And so
I can't get to the top 5.
This is my whole point
because nobody
right
wants
here.
to fight me.
This is the whole point. That's why this is such a fucking great fight.
It is.
And that's why you got to love it because either guy can win it.
John, let's be honest, and I'm going to continue to say this. These two, though, are leaps and bounds above the rest.
Right now.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes, right now.
I agree.
That goes with any. Like one fighter can lose, and then they may disappear. We've seen guys that were on the top of the food chain, and they'll fall off because confidence is key. And I cannot say that enough. Big John and I have been saying this for the longest time. Confidence is the thing that will get you through not just fights, but in life. You need to make sure that you are 100% confident in everything you do. Believe in yourself. Charles Oliveira believes in himself. Islam Makhachev believes in himself. These top guys in the top 5, top 8, top 10, they all believe in themselves. Gamrot tonight believed in himself. Dariush believed in himself. All of these guys, they step in that cage. They believe in themselves. It's what they do after that defines who they are and how great they can be.
How far they're going to go.
And I'm going to be honest, how far they're going to go.
Yeah.
John, I could sit up here and gloat and do all the other things, but look, the biggest thing is this, and I'm going to continue to say this over and over again, I'm sure. I said this about Khabib when he fought Justin Gaethje. I said, people don't realize the Dagestani, the Sambo style of wrestling, in which is learned from Khabib's dad. That style of what they do and what they are good at, it benefits them. We've seen countless Sambo guys come in. I just watched one last night go against one of the Ruotolo brothers, Cade. He didn't look that good. That guy got submitted by a jiu-jitsu guy.
Sure.
That's my point. My point is that, look, Sambo guys are great, but they're great with striking. They're not just 100% submission-wise. Cade Ruotolo is one of the greatest submission experts to ever come into the game. But Islam Makhachev is built different. Khabib is built different. Charles is a great jiu-jitsu guy, a great fighter. But the moments come when they're separated at certain points. His father left a legacy with the guys that he has helped build. And Khabib has been very clear about this, that Islam was always like his number one student outside of him. And they have been best friends since they were young kids. They love each other. They care for each other. They are all about helping each other grow. And you see, and I saw, and I stayed a little bit and watched because I was at a friend's house watching the event. And I said, you could just see just that feeling that Khabib had when he gave Islam a hug. And then it's just like, it's complete. It's not completely over yet. Just so everyone understands. It's complete in what the dream was. But Khabib now has a lot of responsibility on his shoulders to do what his father did. Create your own champions. Islam maybe be champion because Khabib helped him get the rest of the way, but his dad built him. And I think that Khabib is going to take that on his shoulders now. You should expect that next generation of fighters to come like as if it was from his dad. And I get nothing but respect to Khabib, nothing but respect from Javier Mendez. That stand-up, Islam's stand-up never looked that good.
No.
It looked good.
Oh, looked great.
It never looked that good.
That first left hand that he hit him with, man, it hurt him bad.
This show is brought to you by MyBookie.ag. You guys, if you guys have been listening to us all week, don't miss out. Use our promo code weighing in. Don't miss out on using that at MyBookie.ag. Get a little extra spending cash by using our promo code weighing in. You guys would have made a ton of money from this weekend's fights had you listened to Big John and I. We were right on track, right on task, like we were supposed to be. And I'm telling you, MyBookie's already reached out to us and told us, hey, you guys are blowing up the scene at MyBookie.ag with your promo code weighing in. We're coming in hot with some good takes. I know I got called Bag Take Thompson quite a bit this week, but guess what? We were on track, Big John and I. We crushed it. We killed it. And hopefully we made you guys some money at mybookie.ag. Use that promo code weighing in. Everyone, again, a lot of people said that Charles was going to outstrike him out and knock him out. I would have probably agreed. But the way that I went about it though was, if Charles was concerned about the takedown, you understand more than anyone because you've been in the cage with the best fighters in the world, all across the world,
in the stand-up.
Because that split second of hesitation, is he shooting when his arms move, when his elbows leave his ribs? That split second of hesitation against the world-class athlete that Islam Makhachev is all you need to get the takedown, to land the shot, to do whatever it is you need to do that he was thinking about doing. And that's all it took. Those shots that Charles took, it was because for a split second he was thinking about the takedown. When he moved and he flinched, when he fainted, was he going to try to take me down? Was he lowering his level? Was he trying to get to the underhooks? I got nothing but respect for Charles, and I've always had nothing but respect for Charles. I've loved Charles as a fighter since he was at 145. I've said this. I know people didn't hear it because all they heard was me being a homer to my boy. But like I said, I want to remind people, I will continue to be a homer for everyone that trains out of AK, for the life of AK's standing to be in a gym. And even if I've never met the guy or trained with the guy, I will be that way. Javier Mendez is I would say he's like a second father to me. Someone that kind of was there for me a lot. Now, look, we've separated, as fighting careers and trainers got to continue to build their athletes. We're not as close as we used to be. But when I see him, it's all nothing but love. Same thing with Bob Cook when he's my manager. He's been my manager since I was 19 years old. I've never had another manager. It's just one. Every time I see him, it's hugs. I love you. You're my guy. Like, that's the thing. And John, you've seen how I am with people, man. The people that I'm close with, this is how I am. And I care for them a lot. Care for Islam. Care for Podcast Dave, care for you. I get a little emotional sometimes, a little teary-eyed, but it's important to me to have people like this that I really care for, that I've grown up with. Luke Rockhold, when he fought Paulo Costa, same thing, man. I'm a fucking wreck when my boys are fighting, and I think that's what makes me who I am. I'm a wreck, man. I'm a wreck. It is a lot easier to watch or to fight your own fight when you're in there than it is to watch your friends fight. And if anyone tells you different, they're lying. Then maybe they're not as close to your being a friend to you as they say they are.
Well, this is why This is why we always say
clinch up.
Being that trainer is the worst position to be in, because it doesn't matter what you did. If the fighter goes out there and is doing great, yeah, it's great. But as soon as the fighter's not doing anything that you said and things are going bad, there's nothing you can do. You can try to snap them out of it, but there's nothing you can do. And you're just watching someone that you care about. I mean, you truly care about. Yeah. Go out and just take punishment, not be successful, and it's brutal. It's just a terrible experience.
I spent the last 8 maybe years of my career training with a majority of with Islam, Khabib, and then little Umar came along. I spent a majority, and then I realized how good they were. I spent the majority towards the end of my career training with them specifically. Now, I had other guys, Thomas Dionne. He was probably one of my main sparring partners. So good on the feet, so dynamic, just good Sancho like takedown guy. But then you mix him with Khabib, you mix him with, Islam, you mix him with other guys that Islam and Khabib had brought. A little Umar, I'd mess with him around a little bit, and spar with him. It's just you build a relationship with fighters that you train with, and I'm a ride or die kind of guy when it comes to my boys. And I don't know, I knew that he possessed all the threats that I've seen Charles break to at 145. Now, Charles didn't break here. I said, if Islam's going to catch him, he's going to catch him with a couple things. The side choke being one of them, the Kimura being the other, and a potential leg lock. But to me, it was always the Kimura or the side choke. He gets to that position, whether he's in half guard, a full side control, it doesn't matter. He gets there, and it's a different type of squeeze. There's certain fighters that have that squeeze. That's just a different squeeze. Yeah. And it doesn't matter how good of a jiu-jitsu guy you are. Like I've said for countless, Khabib didn't have didn't have as much success against top level jiu-jitsu guys in training, but he still would grind on them and work them. But when it came to like guys that got to positions he was able to escape, I'd never seen him get tapped by top level black belt. Never. I never seen him tap to that position to anybody in a top level black belt position. Islam, I had seen put them in jeopardy over and over and over again. Top level guys. I've seen Islam dominate top level guys, top level jiu-jitsu guys from the mount position, from side control, takedowns, foot sweeps, all of these things. So I knew that Charles was going to be in some trouble. And these guys were mainly bigger than him when Islam was training with them. So when you have guys that are bigger than you, that are top level jiu-jitsu players, and you're still able to work them around, move them around, sweep them, and put them in danger, make them escape, make them fight. I knew that Charles, with striking, was going to be a problem on the feet. But once it hit the ground, Islam was going to slow the pace down and really make him work out of that position.
Let's take a look at this and be honest about the whole thing as we're looking at it. You have to give so much credit to Islam for putting up with a lot of pressure because he was under a ton of pressure. Yes, he was the home favorite, but the amount of pressure that was on him, and it wasn't just the crowd. It is the pressure of Khabib, but it's really the pressure of Abdulmanap because it meant so much to him to make that man's dreams come to fruition, and that's what he did. And he was under an incredible amount of pressure in the fight, but he handled it really well, and you could see it throughout parts of the fight. Like he came out, he started off well, he landed that left hand, he looked really dominant as far as pressure in the top position. That pressure, he was stopping a lot of what Charles was trying to do. And you saw Charles just start to take and accept the guard and not worry about really looking for the submission, just trying to let time go by with it. The second round said a lot to me because there was a moment when Charles was starting to get into a groove, and you could see Islam actually back off of it, reset, come out, do his thing, and you go, that's what you're looking for when you're looking at a guy as far as fight IQ, fight maturity. He's got it. You can see it. And, the whole thing that you're talking about, people need to understand. Look, Khabib took over as the coach because of his father passing. And you're right. He's going to have to come up with his own stable. But he took it upon himself as these are my dad's guys, and I need to walk them through their careers like my dad was going to do. And that's why he's doing what he's doing. And look, we've seen him how many times in that corner. I can't think of many times that he hasn't walked away with that win as far as his guy getting the win. So he's obviously doing the right thing. He's spending the time. I don't know how the guy is still married because it's a different world as far as the way they do things because he's never home. And you just got to give it up to Islam Makhachev. We knew how good he was. You had talked to me forever about John. When you roll with him, he's got a different feel. It is just not something that you get from other guys. And coming from you, I knew. I said, well, we're going to see what happens. But he looked fantastic. It's not that Charles didn't come out ready to fight. He had good eyes First time I think he's ever fought, after having the LASIK surgery, so he could actually see his opponent clearly. That would be a nice thing. Did it make a difference? Thought it might. Could have been that little thing, seeing things a little clearer. Islam won on the feet. He won in the wrestling. He won in the submission game. That's why he's the lightweight champion. And I love what Habib set him up with, that we wanted to take the fight to Australia and all that stuff. Because that's what the UFC has already talked about. So it's not like this was something that was a surprise. But they're following that game plan. They're following the blueprint of what the UFC wants to do. I thought bringing, Alexander Volkanovski up there is great. He said the right thing. You're going to put your title, that lightweight title, on the line. I'll put my pound for pound on the line. They're already selling. It's a great fight. I would love to see it. And, whether it happens in Australia or somewhere else, I don't care. That's a great fight as it's coming up. And if that's his first defense, it's a hell of an opponent to go against.